Welcome back, everyone, for the final episode of Final Fantasy Commander Review Tier List. I'm QuestionMarc,
And I'm Ame.
and we have gone over the colorless, all 5 colors. We did the starter deck, we did each commander deck, and we are finally on the multicolor creatures.
Strap in, folks. We're going to bring it home today.
So let's actually jump into it a little quickly here today. Our first one is Absolute Virtue from Final Fantasy XI.
All right. So for Absolute Virtue, you pay 6 mana white-blue, and you get an 8/8 Avatar Warrior that can't be countered, has flying, and you have protection from each of your opponents. What is this?
Whoa!
Screw you, I win is what this is.
And we have flavor text on this version.
These memories generate suffering. These thoughts bring remorse. Oh, you're remembering every cringe moment you had, huh? Sorry, bud.
Jeez. So I actually watched a video not too long ago about Final Fantasy XI that went over Absolute Virtue specifically, talking about how when this guy was added to the game, people were talking about not having enough to do in the end game, and they wanted like an ultimate challenge. And so this guy was added, and then no one could beat it for like 4 years.
Whoo!
Except they found like an exploit that allowed them to beat it at one point, and then they patched the exploit. So eventually they had to tell people that there was a secret to it where like some of the messages that it was telling you would tell you in a code how to attack it, and it was different like on each day of the week. Something crazy like that.
Yeesh!
Ah!
You know that old phrase that gamers have? If you stat it, they will kill it?
Yeah.
Welp,
Mm-hmm.
this is what happens when you hear that and you go, bet.
Okay, now I will admit though, when I first looked at this thing, I thought it was insane because I thought that it had protection from each of your opponents, which is nuts because it reminds me of True Name Nemesis? Nemesis. There you are, True Name Nemesis. Want to read that for us?
Let's see. As True Name Nemesis enters the battlefield, choose a player. True Name Nemesis has protection from the chosen player.
Yeah, so this thing was invented for Commander, and then it immediately shot up to like a $40 card for Legacy. Because technically, the cards that were introduced in Commander decks were legal in Legacy, and if you choose one of your 3 opponents to gain protection from, that's pretty great. But if you only have one opponent, oh, they're boned.
Yeah.
Because when a creature has protection from a player, what that means is that this creature can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything controlled by that player. So it's unblockable, untargetable, unremovable, unstoppable, and when everybody has 20 life, 3 power is a lot easier to just win the game with this by itself. Absolute Virtue does not say that. Absolute Virtue says you have protection from each of your opponents, which is still great. You can't be dealt damage, enchanted, or targeted by anything controlled by your opponents. But it does mean that...
Flyers, tramplers, go to hell.
It does mean that Absolute Virtue itself can be destroyed in much the ways that, anything... The Swords to Plowshares, Go for the Throat, Cyclonic Rift, any normal things that you'd kill a creature with. It's got to be able to deal with 8 toughness, so no lightning bolt's going to do it, but still, this can be removed. The main thing that I see this doing for you, though, is that you can't be dealt damage by anything controlled by your opponents.
If you were to build a deck around this, you would definitely want to focus on getting that out quick and getting all of the protections on it.
Yeah, I mean...
You want Shroud. You want... What are some other ones?
Hexproof, Lord.
You want Shroud. You want Hexproof. You want Phase Out. You want...
Yeah.
You want that protected.
Now, and if you do that, then you can't die. It feels very similar, I think, to having a Platinum Angel in the command zone. Platinum Angel here.
Woo!
Want to
nice
read that?
artwork. Flying, you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win.
Yep. I think that that's effectively what this is. This is basically Platinum Angel in the command zone. It also allows you to play blue and white, which makes sense as colors that stop your opponents from messing with you. They are the no fun colors. No fun allowed.
The how about no colors?
Mm-hmm. So...
It's definitely well placed then.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, flying in for 8 at your opponents is going to wrap up the game relatively quickly. It's not unblockable like the true name Nemesis, but flying still does most of the job. The hardest thing I see, if this is your commander, of course, that mana cost.
Yes, that would be the biggest hurdle for this thing.
Yeah, because green's obviously the best color at ramping, because you can ramp lands with stuff like Kodama's Reach and Cultivate and Skyshroud Claim. You can ramp with creatures, like elves and stuff like that. How you ramp in white and blue is going to be a lot trickier. You're looking at Smothering Tithe. You're looking at maybe, I don't know, like untapping your mana extra times. Artifacts, you could play some mana rocks and stuff.
What about treasure?
Treasure, yes, although white and blue aren't the best colors at making treasure, except Smothering Tithe. So I think that this mana cost is very high, and your opponent's likely a turn or two before you can finally get this thing out will say like, okay, well now we absolutely have to kill them. They're about to get the virtue, which makes it really hard to kill them. Or, better yet, save that go for the throat until they spend 8 mana on absolute virtue and then kill it, and they wasted the whole thing. Oh.
There are possibilities here. Strong ones.
Honestly,
it's high risk, high reward.
Okay. In Super Smash Bros., Falcon Punch is the most like telegraphed move that you can do.
Falcon Punch!
And it's very powerful. Don't need to apologize for Falcon Punch. But in like competitive, it's really hard to actually hit somebody with it. It's embarrassing, actually, if you're a competitive Smash Brothers player and you get hit by a Falcon Punch or a Warlock Punch or something like that. And I feel like that's kind of what this is that it's the most telegraphed move possible. And once you've done it, there are answers to it. Just any old creature removal will get it. Path to Exile, ready to go. And
I knew this day would come. Swords to Plowshares!
Sure. So I think this commander, as a commander, is a trick. I think it's a trap.
Oh, it's a trap?
Yes. I think
for
that
whom?
For the person playing it, because they're going to be doing really boring stuff for the first, 6 turns of the game. Possibly even making the game worse for everybody else as they're playing Propaganda and Ghostly Prison and Cyclonic Rift just to buy themselves time. Board wipes galore, and then they finally get this out, and does it help them win the game? I mean, maybe in 4 turns. And it is one of the better cases for Lightning Greaves, because it equips for 0, so you can play it and immediately move the Lightning Greaves onto it. You've got Shroud. You can then attack. Hitting 3 times does kill a player, but then you've got to kill the other 2 players still. So honestly, I think that this is a trap. I think that it's not worth doing. Is it all the way down in lame?
No.
It can't be. That is...
physically impossible.
The text on that is too wild. Is it questionable? Yes. Is it better in the 99?
I think it's better in the 99. Imagine being able to whip that out.
Well, okay. You know where it could be good is in, Esper Reanimator? So you just, discard it early to one of the many blue or black discard or self-mill effects, and then later, on turn 4 or something, you reanimate it.
Guess what, bitches?
Getting this out on turn 4 in a deck like that is much more surprising. It's much harder to deal with. You could always wait until your opponents have used a removal spell or 2, so that you think that they won't be able to take it out right away. So, is this better in the 99? I mean, to some extent, you could say that about any card. I don't think that this is good in a blue-white deck, but it might be good in a blue-white something else deck.
And
So,
that it would probably do best in a Bant deck if you want to get it on the field.
true, you could ramp with the green, but then is this the best thing that you could be doing in all three of those colors once you get to 8 mana? I think that there are enough things from like Craterhoof Behemoth, things like that that would just end the game instead of stop you from dying and end the game in like 3 to 12 turns.
Questionable then?
I think so. I think you could probably find a use for it in a deck like Esper Reanimator or something, but
It would take some
yeah.
doing.
Yeah. So, I had a lot to say about that one because it's wild, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Balthier and Fran, also known as Bougie Han Solo and Sexy Chewbacca. I am not even kidding. That's basically their role in Final Fantasy XII. I love them both.
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, I would have loved to have gotten a card that was just Fran. Balthier is here also, though. This is like the couple that says, like, we saw you from across the bar and we like your vibe.
And I'm saying yes.
Yeah, let's get in the
Not gonna
Millennium
lie,
Falcon and leave this scum of villainy. This hive of scum and villainy.
If they come across the bar to me, I'm saying yes.
I mean, honestly, fucking me too. I mean, look,
Balthier is classy.
And Fran, I want to get to know her better. I just want to get to know her better.
She's cool.
Mm-hmm.
She rides a motorcycle, for God's sake.
And, you know, I'm a relatively tall guy, but, like, above average, but I don't mind a tall lady. I certainly don't mind a tall lady that looks like that. So, this is exactly the analysis that you come to our channel for, I hope. When you look up Commander tier lists, you're hoping for this kind of interaction, I hope. Because you're going to find a lot more stuff like that on our channel than on most, I think.
What can I say? We have issues.
Sure. And hopefully you do too. I have always intended this channel to be more like your friends on the internet who like to chit-chat and yap. You know?
Yeah.
Because we're absolutely going to keep doing that. We're not going to stop.
Hopefully we're the kind of background yappers that you just kind of put on and it kind of helps you from falling apart. You know, just like, no,
Yeah.
keep babbling. This is nice.
Yeah, you can pause and interject, you know, especially if we get something wrong or you want to say something back to us.
Ooh, tell us about it in the
us...
comments. We like the comments.
Oh, yeah. We've been keeping an eye on every comment that comes through here. A lot for Final Fantasy have been really engaging and really enjoyable.
Especially when people correct us about the lore. That's been interesting.
Yeah. She's especially been reading all the ones about the lore. But I think let's read what the magic card does at this point.
Well, for 1 and a red and a green, you get a 4/3 human rabbit with reach. And vehicles you control get 1/1 and have vigilance and reach. And whenever a vehicle crewed by Balthier and Fran this turn attacks, if it's the first combat phase of this turn, you can pay 1 a red and a green, and if you do, after this phase, there's another combat phase. Go Team Millennium Falcon, okay?
Heck yeah.
This is all about the vehicles.
And right off the bat, vanilla test?
Let's see, we are not... Well, actually, yeah, we are passing the vanilla test today.
Hell yeah, we are.
Very well, too.
They would pass if they were a 3/3 for 3, but they're a 4/3 for 3.
Just putting in the extra effort, because there is 2 of them. There are 2 of them, after all.
Yeah, who do you think is bringing that extra power? I'm leaning
Fran.
towards Fran. Yeah.
It's Fran.
She's the muscle, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And they have reach, and they buff your vehicles. The rest of it's all buffing vehicles. So you gotta play this in a vehicle deck. And the question is, for like the 10th time, you know, after Kaladesh and Aether Revolt people were asking, and after Aether Drift people were asking, and various pirate sets, Ixalan,
Are vehicles good enough?
I don't know. I don't know, because vehicles need to be crewed a lot like a equipment needs to be picked up by a creature. A couple of them can like crew themselves or animate in various ways, but most of them can't. And I've been talking about in some of these other videos that some of the job select cards where they're an equipment that comes with a creature, or for Mirrodin or Living Weapon, those are some of the best ones in these equipment decks because it allows you to play a really high number of equipment but still have a high number of creatures to put them on. So when you're playing these vehicles, well, I mean, you suffer from that problem. You have to, you can't put too many vehicles. You can't have a deck where, like, you've got 30 vehicle spells in it, because who's going to crew them all? One funny thing that you can do, you can use Balthier and Fran to crew one vehicle, and then you could use that vehicle to crew another vehicle.
Oh, that would be
then
funny.
You could use that vehicle to crew another vehicle, and...
You would just have to make sure the power is escalating each time.
Well, it probably will. One problem, you tap each of the creatures as you go, and so all but the last one will be tapped.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
they won't be good.
I have a question. What
Yeah.
happens if we put them in the TARDIS?
In the TARDIS. Okay, let's review here, because I don't 100% remember. The TARDIS is a vehicle. Okay, costs 2 to cast, 2 to crew, flies. When this vehicle attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade and you may Planeswalk. Okay, so they're not a Time Lord, so not much. They can definitely crew it. Having flying is nice. Giving it +1/+1 vigilance and reach is great. But of course, the main ability here doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, sorry. Darn.
And you can get 2 combats, which, by the way, is great. Getting additional combats in a deck that is heavily based on attacking is one of the most powerful effects you can get.
Now that I think of it, there's probably going to be at least some vehicles with Final Fantasy. I mean...
Oh, there definitely are.
Consider the things that there are in the series. I mean, we've got Magitech robots, we've got airships. Airships are kind of a staple of the series. Even back in the first one, if I recall correctly, eventually you get an airship.
I think so.
Fran and Balthier have their own airship. I don't remember what it's called, but it's probably in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, wait, let's not sort by EDH rec rank. Let's sort by release date. So we'll see the most recent vehicles first. So there are 94 legal vehicles that you could play in their deck.
Here we go. Oh, look, the Regalia.
Wait, this can't be right. There are 2 vehicles in the Final Fantasy set that are legal to play in the Balthier and Fran deck. 2?
Yeah.
I could have swore... You know what? I bet that it's just that I'm limiting it to red and green, and there are probably some that aren't in these colors. Yeah.
There we go.
We can't play the Falcon. the Falcon! The Millennium Falcon we were just talking about!
Oh!
We can't
That's
play...
not their ship, though.
Yeah, we can't play Balam Garden. We can't play Phantom Train with the little guys running from it.
Oh my god, I remember that fight. That was fun.
We can't play the famous Magicked Card.
Oh my god.
Which is...
That one was begging to be in... That was begging to be in Magic the Gathering right there, okay?
Absolutely. Card collection, Magicked Card in Magic Cards. Love it. Prima Vista, Lunar Whale, Cargo Ship, Magitech Armor.
Hey, cool.
None of those can be played in the Balthier and Fran deck. But you do still have a lot of other options, especially from Aether Drift. So, once again, the question remains, are they good? Well, I mean, they do kind of make them good. I mean...
They definitely make them worth more of a second glance. And the continued viability of this card will, I think, be largely based upon future vehicles. Like, okay, are vehicles going to get more support? Can we do more with vehicles? Things like that.
And I know that there have been Commander Precons in the past, like in Kamigawa, where it was a white-blue vehicles deck, so we're missing out on all the white and blue ones. But I think in the end, Balthier and Fran are going to be good.
They're too sexy to not be.
Yeah, maybe somewhere around, like, here. In part because they can crew for 4 right off the bat. The vehicles get bigger. They have vigilance and reach. That's pretty great, especially the vigilance. Because one thing that you'll note here is that taking an extra combat step, this doesn't say that it untaps any of your creatures.
Look sharp, everyone. You gotta be ready for round 2.
But if your creatures have vigilance, then you don't have to untap them. You can attack with them both combats and still block with them, and especially because they have reach. So I think that this is actually maybe one of the best vehicle commanders there is. and in a different color combination than we usually see. So a bit of a niche, and pretty powerful at that. They can crew for 4 as soon as they come out. One last thing to keep in mind: a creature can crew a vehicle even if it has summoning sickness.
I was about to ask.
However, a vehicle cannot attack if it's crewed on the turn that it enters, because the vehicle will have summoning sickness unless it has haste or something.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to keep in mind. You want to
But
probably
fortunately,
play...
we're in red. We've
Oh,
got haste
yeah.
effects aplenty.
Oh, sure. I mean, you can just do that. But also, you could play a vehicle on turn 1 or 2, and then play Balthier and Fran, and crew it on the turn that they enter, and attack with the vehicle that you already had. So that's probably the play pattern, even though usually you want to be like ramping on turn 1 and 2 and stuff. But
Hey,
whatever.
here's an idea for a magic card. Parking lot.
Parking lot!
It's a fetch vehicle.
Wait, it's an enchant land, because you have to pave paradise to do it.
Oh my god. It's an enchant land, and when you tap it, you can fetch a vehicle. And for extra mana and a tap, you can fetch a vehicle.
Sure. Maybe it's even like surveil, and if you find a vehicle, you can put it in your hand. But that way, it also like mills, so it's like trashing your deck in order to make parking lots. I like that idea. Anyway, next we are dancing to the Black Waltz number 3.
Ooh, I don't know this one because I didn't get far enough in Final Fantasy IX, but I do like the way this looks. Check out dem wings.
Oh, yeah.
All right, for 2, a black and a red, you get a 2/2 wizard with flying and death touch. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Black Waltz number 3 deals 2 damage to each opponent. So it's a wizard, but extra. You fool, do I look like some lowly black mage soldier? No, you don't.
Yeah, because I guess in Final Fantasy IX there was this whole thing of the villains making an army of black mages.
Right, they're like constructs or something. I didn't get... I got in a ways, but not all the way.
They're not artifacts. They're not robots, but they are like somehow summoned or coalesced in some way.
Oh, I was thinking construct in the Frankenstein's monster sense.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
Are they like that? Are they flesh
that would be
golems?
like Geralf. No, I don't think so. Geralf here, by the way, is a Stitcher, and so Stitchers are Magic's equivalent of Dr. Frankenstein. Just so you know, for maybe future inspirations.
Oh, I'm aware.
Geralf.
I'm aware.
Stitchers. Okay. So in which case they would be zombies, but they're not. They are... All of these black mages are wizards.
And that's all we know for certain about them.
So here's the thing. The vanilla test.
Let's see, we are not passing the vanilla test today, but we are getting flying and death touch, so that helps to a great degree.
Yeah, so we failed the vanilla test. Do we care? No.
No.
No, we don't care, okay?
Flying, death touch, 2 damage to each opponent when you cast a not creature thing. I think this guy is definitely making up the difference.
Honestly, I think this guy's incredible. Like, as an uncommon, I guess he's just dead simple. And in terms of, like, you know, power and toughness, it's not coming close to this. And that might be another reason why he's uncommon. But in this set, we have this theme of black-red wizards, and he's one of the best. He goes in the 99 100%, and he's one of the best commanders as well.
Oh, yes. Sometimes things don't need to be all that complicated. And I'd like to see what kind of crazy stuff people are gonna put together with this guy.
Like, you would put Queen Braun from the other day into his deck because she attacks and makes wizards that deal 1 damage to each opponent.
I got more wizards for you, Chief.
Oh. The flavor text.
Oh, are you defying me as well?
And look at that. She has an army of black mages, just like we were talking about.
They're so cute. I want to hug them.
They are. And I think it's like most of them are bad guys in this world, except Vivi. And Vivi will come up later.
There actually is a village of other black mages, and they're just kind of like, yeah, we aren't really about that life.
Okay. So, when we're talking about casting non-creature spells and dealing damage to your opponents, gosh. I mean, the number of non-creature spells that you could cast is pretty insane. So, in Black-Red, you want to be throwing damage at your opponents, you want to be removing their creatures, and other threats. You want to also be drawing cards and producing more mana, and there are non-creature spells that do each of those things really efficiently. And normally you'd be like, yes, but how do I win? And most of the time in Commander, the answer is you got to get out some creatures. You got to make like an army, or make your one creature big, or something like that. But he can do it. I mean, granted, let's do the math here. Each of your opponents starts at 40 life. He does 2 damage per spell that you cast. So how many spells do you have to cast to
20.
take him? Yes, 20 spells. And how hard do you think that's going to be when your spells are things like, I don't know, Soul Ring. Soul Ring, bop your opponents for 2 damage. Rakdos Signet. Arcane Signet. We know these things. You're playing Mana Rocks and bopping your opponents for 2 every time.
Although I also would love to get out some... I would love to get out some wizard tokens and then just have everybody bops.
Oh, yeah.
The bonk, go to horny jail SWAT team, basically.
Yes. In fact, you can play Black Mage's Rod. You can play Cornered by Black Mages. Each of these make more Black Mages that do more damage to each opponent for every spell that you cast. Sorry, non-creature spell. But you'll note that these 2 are non-creature spells.
I want that Black Mage's Rod. I love the artwork on that one.
Hey, it's a common. We'll very likely get one. At least one. I want it too.
Also, that big hat and staff combo. Popular.
Iconic.
It is. It is iconic. Hermes has it. Odin has it. Literally every wizard has it because of Odin. I love it.
I think it's maybe the most recognizable, unique silhouette to Final Fantasy.
I think it might be as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there at least with Chocobos and Buster Swords.
Oh, yeah.
And, so, yeah.
Although I gotta give a shout out to my red mages for just being stylish.
Oh, by the way, shoot, what's it called? There's a harmonic. That might get me close enough, I think. Harmonic Prodigy. Check this out. In fact, you want to read that for us?
Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets 1/1 until end of turn. If
good.
an ability of a shaman or another wizard you control triggers, it triggers an additional time. Ooh, yes,
Whee!
Put that with Black Waltz. Put that with Black Waltz.
Hey, he's a wizard! You can play this lady on turn 2, and then this thing a turn or 2 later, and then you're bopping everybody for 4 every time. Or,
That cuts it down to 10 times that you need to hit them. That you need to bop them.
Also, it does say deal damage, so this is one of many times where I'll bring up Shadow Spear.
Again.
Mark
Shadow it off Spear, your bingo card.
Yes, goes on so many creatures.
But it literally goes with everything!
I know! Giving your commander lifelink when you have repeatable ways of hitting all of your opponents for a bunch of damage, that means that every turn, if you cast one non-creature spell and, say, attack with a 3/3 flying death touch, then you're gaining, let's see, 3 times plus 6. So you're gaining 9 life from just the most basic amount of playing a game of Magic, regardless of what the spells are. Every turn, and your opponents are going down at the same time. So normally I don't recommend people invest too much in life gain, but if you could just throw lifelink on your commander and then passively gain life while constantly ruining your opponent's day.
I believe the kids say sprinkle sprinkle.
Sure.
Am I using that right? I don't think I'm using that right.
I don't actually know.
I don't think I'm using that right.
Oh, is that like a Salt Bay thing you're doing there? Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay.
Ignore me. I'm a millennial.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways of synergizing with this thing, and at 4 mana, if you do spend a number of your spells on ramp, like Mana Rocks, like Seething Song, that just makes 5 mana, like, how could I forget Dark Ritual, which is in this set. Why is it? Dark Ritual is in this set. Oh, it's been reprinted far too many times. There
we go.
Dark Ritual from Final Fantasy 9? Really? Oh.
That looks
is that VV right there?
I think it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know what this is all about because I did not get to this point.
Yep,
again.
I did not get to that point. That looks like second stage final boss.
Yeah, it does kind of, it gives that vibe. But in any case, Dark Ritual is another way, one of like so many good ways of making mana with a non-creature spell that can help you do more non-creature spells. Also, the last thing that I need to advise here is put in lots and lots and lots of extra card draw that are on non-creature spells.
Get them cards! Play them down! Bop, bop, bop!
Absolutely. One that people may not know about is Necrologia. You can only cast it during your end step, and you have to pay life to do it, but you can draw any number of cards.
So, where's Black Waltz number 3 going?
Yeah, the question is he good or is he exciting?
He's at least good.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think exciting.
I think exciting too.
Not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind losing to a deck with this guy in it.
Oh yeah, that's another metric. I'm glad you brought that up. That I think that more people should consider is that I think that you should build a deck that you personally wouldn't mind losing to. And is that going to be the case for all of these?
Well, no.
I mean, for the exciting ones, I think maybe so. I did lose to Sephiroth already, and the pre-release hasn't happened yet.
How did you do that?
Somebody printed it.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were just such a big Sephiroth stan, and me and one of the other players were really like squaring off and lowering each other's life total until we were both down to about 10, and then he's like, surprise, I kill a bunch of stuff and I drain you each to death. Right when I was gonna finish off the other player and pivot to going after the Sephiroth player, it was actually too late before I thought so.
That reminds me, somebody in the comments said, play Sephiroth and Aerith in the same deck for maximum hurt.
Now, it's got to be a black-white deck, and there isn't a black-white version of Sephiroth or Aerith. But you could find something. You could
make it work.
Know.
Gosh.
Magic is a big game. There's a lot of stuff in it.
Okay, now let's move on to the Chocobo!
Okay, you've heard... Well, actually, let's... okay, I will preface this a little bit. You've heard us talk about birds in this set.
Yeah.
A fair bit.
Oh, yeah.
There are a number of legendary creatures that care about birds, and in all of them so far, I've said it's not the commander that you want. This is the commander that you want.
Ooh, let's take a look then. Mm-hmm. Let's see. For 1 mana, blue, white, and green, white, and blue, you get a 3/5 bird. Mm-hmm. Whenever one or more birds you control attack, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may put one of them into your hand. Then put any number of land cards from among them on the battlefield tapped and the rest into your graveyard. And for landfall, whenever a land you control enters, Choco gets +1/0 until end of turn.
Mm-hmm. So, just to start off, of course, vanilla test.
Let's see. We are passing the vanilla test today by a bit of a scrape.
Yes, we are, and it favors the butt.
Yes.
Which I guess
to be
Chocobo
fair,
does have kind of a lot of butt.
They do have a lot of butt, and they're also notorious for their smell.
Oh boy. Well, now, lacking a little bit of power is unfortunate, especially in a deck that includes green, a deck that... But who cares? Whenever a land you control enters, it gets additional power. So every turn, it's going to be at least a 4 or 5, and you're going to build your deck around fetch lands and all kinds of things that tutor for lands.
Hey, place another land. You want Steve in there?
Oh, sure. Actually, will Steve make the cut? I mean, probably, but
it's Steve.
You could leave him out because there's so many options across these 3 colors, and with so many birds you want to put in there. Almost all the Chocobos have landfall or care about lands or other birds or all 3 of those things. Mostly they get an additional power. So honestly, it's going to allow you to play every bird card you could possibly want, and it ramps you because it goes and finds more lands, and that's what all of them trigger off of. Ah!
I have the Chocobo theme stuck in my head now.
Okay, so last time when we were talking about Tifa, this is a card that I wanted to bring up, but you made me stop.
Sorry, we were getting a little bit too in the weeds there, I think.
I always will. But Harrow is one that comes to mind. You sacrifice a land, you go get 2 basics and put them onto the battlefield.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so important things about this that make it subtly good. It's an instant. So, you can give probably all of your birds +1/+0 twice at instant speed. So, like, after people have assigned blockers, or when they think they're going to win in combat, they actually lose in combat, stuff like that. Also, it puts the lands onto the battlefield untapped, which means that you can use that 2 mana that you get back from it immediately.
Ooh.
Also, if you're playing a landfall deck, you might be playing things like Crucible. Oh boy.
Crucible is spelled with another C.
Really? 2 C's?
2 C's.
Okay. Crucible of Worlds is the first one that comes to mind.
Woo!
Ta-da! You can play lands from your graveyard.
Oh!
Because you're gonna be filling your deck with stuff like Flooded Strand.
Oh!
Right, the fetch
Oh,
lands.
that's mean. I love it.
So that you can play a land, get a trigger, pop it, go get another land, get another trigger. They're gonna come in untapped, unless you are getting like a Surveil land or a Triome or something. And it's going to trigger all of your birds twice. And then, of course, if you are playing Crucible of Worlds, you can play it from the graveyard.
Let's do it again!
And then do 2 lands per turn again. Not to mention all the things that I mentioned in the Tifa deck, where you can play multiple lands a turn.
Refresh my memory. What is the basic chocobo? What does the non-legendary chocobo look like?
Oh, okay, I'll check on that in a second, but I didn't mention during the Tifa video Azusa, Lost But Seeking, that allows you to play 2 additional lands every turn. And do you have to play Crucible of Worlds? No, but I'm going to recommend it because you're going to be playing so many fetch lands, and if you get out things like this and you run out of lands in your hand, that's one way that a lot of players get stuck with landfall decks, is that they run out of lands to play from their hand. But if you're playing fetch lands, which you are, and you're playing Crucible of Worlds, which you are, and you're playing things like Azusa, which you are, then you can keep playing them and sacrificing them and playing them and sacrificing them, looping them around 3+ times a turn. It's insane. Now then, other chocobos include the...
Chocobo Keek!
This is like the most basic one. Ah! This is Baby Chocobo! It's the one that lives in that one guy's hair.
Whenever a land you control enters, put a 1/1 on this creature.
Important thing there, counter. That's a permanent boost.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if this was +1/+0 until end of turn, it would not be playable in Commander. But since it's +1/+1 permanently, it is. And also, Traveling Chocobo is going to become the chase rare in this set.
You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast bird spells from the top of your library. If a land or bird you control entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers again!
Oh, yeah. So this is one of the few that doesn't have a landfall trigger itself, but it doubles all of your landfall triggers and allows you to play lands and birds from the top of your deck. And, oh yeah, they're printing it in a variety of rainbow colors.
In all of the Chocobo colors.
Yep. And, so this is going to be the chase rare in that you might be able to find a reasonably priced normal version of Traveling Chocobo. But once you start looking at these versions, they're going to be rarer and rarer. I
think the black one is only showing up in Japanese, isn't it?
Yes, that is intentional. Apparently, one of the developers of Final Fantasy, I believe the creator of the Chocobo, was asked what his favorite color was, and he said black.
To be fair, the black chocobos can fly. Not all of them can do that.
And the black ones aren't in every game. They're only in like 2 of the games or something, I guess.
I'd have to look it up.
And so now, importantly, it still costs green mana. Okay, none of these are functionally different cards. You don't have to get this version, but this is the version that they made exclusively in Japanese for that one developer.
Kind of like how the chocobo breeding things are typically side quests.
Mm-hmm. And they
you
said
don't have
that,
to if you don't want, but it is out there if you want it.
Yes. So the black chocobo here will be the next rarest, and the rarest will be the gold
chocobo.
One. The gold one doesn't have any text on it, so they assume at this point if you're collecting a traveling chocobo, you know what it does. And there are only 77 of them in the world.
Woo!
So that makes it one of the rarest Magic cards ever printed.
The only one rare is the One Ring, right?
Well, there are a few older ones that have been popular trivia for a long time. Shichi Fukujin Dragon, 1996 World Champion, Splendid Genesis. Um, these are all maybe things for another day, but Splendid Genesis? Let's see if that one comes up here. Yeah. Read this card for us, if you could.
Okay, shuffle all cards in the game together and deal them into 3 decks. The game continues with a new player. Whoa!
So this was given out to Richard Garfield's friends and family as an announcement for them having a new baby.
Aww.
Yeah, this is a
God, that's
celebration
cute.
card. Yeah. And so it's presumed that there is a double-digit number of these that were ever made and ever will be made, and very
I
few
love
of
the
them.
artwork. That is so
Yeah.
sweet.
Very few of them have ever seen resell because the majority of the people who ended up with them don't know what Magic cards are, for one thing, and most of the rest, it was too precious of a keepsake, sentimental, that they didn't want to sell it.
Good lord. I mean, and why not? Good lord, look at that.
But I believe I did hear about 1 or 2 of them selling for somewhere in the range of like $3,000.
Whoa!
Yeah. So feel free to look up more celebration cards on your own time. There are a few of them. But you can't buy a pack and open a Splendid Genesis. You can't buy a pack and become the 1996 World Champion. You can buy a pack and open Traveling Chocobo. And if you do, it's probably going to be worth $1,000, a couple $1,000. Who knows?
And you have to sing the Golden Ticket song from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory when it happens.
By law, required, I guess. So anyway, let's get back on track here, wrap things up with Choco. I think Chocobos are a fun new take on the bird type in Commander. I think the Chocobos are one of the most fun types of creatures in Final Fantasy, the franchise.
I want to make a Chocobo deck and name it either Chocobo Race or Chocobo Stampede.
Oh, let's see. So you said Chocobo Race?
Or Chocobo Stampede, whichever you think sounds better.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I think this is the only Chocobo card that doesn't go in the Choco Seeker of Paradise deck. And it's a good card still. But regardless, I think that this is an excellent commander. I think it's one of the most fun ones. It's definitely going in exciting.
Yay!
How high up in exciting?
Ooh.
Like here.
Ooh, sorry,
Yeah.
Cecil.
Yeah, because, I mean, honestly, Cecil, that's going to be kind of a hardcore deck. There's going to be a lot of life going up and down each way. It's going to be tense.
That is going to be drama.
Just good fun. In fact, I'm putting it at the top.
All right.
I'm putting it at the top because, honestly, this one's going to be gimmicky. I don't know that it'll work. It might not be fun sometimes because it might give your opponents, like, Transcendence and then they die. Or, you know, it might be clunky because you're playing a lot of bad cards. This deck, you're just playing lands, matter, stuff, and some birds, and it'll work. It'll work. I guarantee you. It'll work.
What?
So.
Quit.
Next we have
Sid! Homeboy!
We have all the Sids that you could ever want. Because if you haven't heard, Sid has been in every Final Fantasy since 2, which means that there have been 15 different iterations of Sid in the main franchise games anyway, and they made 15 different arts that you can collect. Thankfully, they're all uncommon, although I did hear about someone opening a box and getting none.
Oh.
I hope that that's a fluke.
I think that sounds like a fluke. I
It's
mean, come on,
gotta
there's
be.
15 Sids!
I've heard of something similar happening, by the way, with ring wraiths. Is it called a ring wraith? This is not it. What else were they called again? They were the
9?
The Nazgul. That's what I'm thinking of. A deck can have up to 9 Nazgul. Love the flavor win there. But importantly, for what we're talking about right now, there were 9 different arts
Oh, wow.
of Nazgul.
More than 9?
This is the same 9 again, but with different borders.
Oh, but
and,
still,
this was
that's epic. I
normal
love
size.
that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is
and
some yummy art.
You'll note the prices on these.
Oh boy!
That the average one is about $10 because people were saying that it was a rare uncommon for some reason. Maybe they messed up the booster pack allocation or something, but Nazgul seem to be less common than other uncommons, even though you would hope it would be the opposite so that you might get more than one.
Well, let's put a pin in that one for now.
So, well, what does Sid Timeless Artificer do?
Well, for 2, a white and a blue, you get a 4/4 human artificer, so we're passing the vanilla test. Artifact creatures and heroes you control get 1/1 for each artificer you control and each artificer card in your graveyard. A deck can have any number of Sids.
Yes.
And it also cycles for a white and a blue.
Yeah.
For a white and a blue. Blech.
So the funny thing is, you can absolutely play one of these Sids as your commander, and
Play
you could
all
play
the Sids!
the other 14 in the 99, or if you have one particular Sid that you like or something, you could play 20 copies of him.
I do like this particular Sid. He's from 4.
Yeah.
And he's also the love interest father, and he's just really he likes his son-in-law to be. He's like, I know that kid's gonna be my son-in-law someday. I like him.
He's got a big bushy red beard and goggles.
And he's so gruff
nose.
and outgoing. I love him.
So, having cycling is normally great on any card, except your commander.
Yeah.
Because you can only cycle from your hand, and your commander isn't going to be in your hand almost ever.
Not unless someone bounces him.
Yeah.
But
Also...
but that kind of falls under, but why would you do that?
Yeah. Also, artifact creatures and heroes you control get +1/+1 for each artificer you control and each artificer card in your graveyard. So that's great in that it does count the ones that you have cycled, but it means that the artificers themselves, the Sids, will stay as 4/4s, because he buffs your artifact creatures and your heroes. So he buffs the airships and the people who are on the airships, but not himself, even in other iterations of himself. So strangely, this could be an Artificer commander deck. Like, you could play other Artificers. It wouldn't make the Artificers stronger, but it would make the heroes and the artifact creatures stronger based on how many Artificers.
I guess from there it would depend on how many artificers there are and what their effects are like.
Yeah, actually, I want to do a quick search.
Yeah, let's do that. This makes sense.
Artificer. How many Artificers are there in Commander? And specifically, let's start with the best of them at the top. This might not include those that are in Final Fantasy, or they'll be at the end or something. But Lauren, that's a pretty good card. Ethereum Sculptor is a great card. Urza is one of the most powerful commanders there is. Whew, boy. So if you're throwing these things in the 99, you're gonna have a good time. I'm just happy that this guy isn't your commander. So, phew. Yeah, there's some great stuff in here. Cast an artifact spell, get an artifact. Artifacts have hexproof. Prevent all the combat damage to your artifact creatures. So actually, this does seem like a pretty good commander overall.
Get the engineering squad on it!
And you could go Artificer Kindred, or Heroes. So that's an interesting question. Hero as a creature type. Let's check here. Typeline Hero. Up until very recently, this was not a creature type. But now it is because of Spider-Man.
Also, a lot of the Final Fantasy... I've noticed that a number of the Final Fantasy cards generate hero tokens. So this could be the start of a token deck.
Yes. All of these other things, by the way, they're not legal in Commander. They're not kind of real Magic cards. They're from a weird pre-release event that they did one time. So you can honestly ignore all of those. But the hero token is made by all of these things. All the job select cards make hero tokens. So, yes, Sid...
Get them heroes! Double those tokens!
Absolutely. So, Sid will synergize with all of your job select cards. He'll synergize with Spider-Man.
A lot of people I hear are angry about Spider-Man joining the Magic the Gathering.
Well, I mean, a lot of people were mad about The Walking Dead joining Magic the Gathering, and and a bunch of others. And I hear their concern, and I understand their distaste. I don't share it exactly, although I did to some extent. I don't want to make this whole video about it, of course, but short version is I love Magic the Gathering, and I also like a lot of these other IPs, and if that brings more players into the game, that's probably what I care about most. The ridiculous scenario that people give of, like, SpongeBob is gonna pick up the Iron Man armor and then, like, go fly to Mordor and, you know...
Honestly, that's fine. I mean, I have a deck where I beat people up with cookies.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that ridiculous scenario that people use, I mean, that still sounds kind of fun to me, considering that it's all within the framework of the cards and the rules and the decks and mechanics of Magic. In fact, you have no idea how many Magic cards I have designed that are basically universes beyond that I've been doing for like 15 years.
And how many of us Magic fans have had the conversation where we go, I wonder what color identity that character is.
Oh gosh, we could have so many conversations, and we have so many conversations.
It's fun.
Yeah. So all that to get back to Sid here. The question is really, is he? Well, actually, okay, is he better in the 99? I think oftentimes he'll also be in the 99. He could be your commander and in the 99.
Oh, I have the hiccups.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
He's one of the only commanders who can. In fact, maybe he's the only commander who can.
Huh.
Wait a second. Okay, I just remembered a big problem where you might need a mirror box. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control.
I was thinking about the legendary rule.
Oh no. So we're gonna have to grin and bear it with that. I don't know, maybe take a drink of your drink, or maybe that'll make it worse. Whatever
I'm gonna hold my breath for a minute.
Okay, whatever your home remedies are for hiccups, I guess she's gonna try some. But yeah, I'd been talking about this as if you could have multiple Sids on the battlefield at the same time. You can't. You can have multiple in your deck. However, keep in mind, one of the main reasons why you would want to have a card in the command zone is so that you get it every game consistently. And one of the main reasons why you would want to have like 15 copies of a card in your deck is so that you could get it consistently. And this guy actually is one of the few cards where you could put any number of them in, but you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, Relentless Rats, or Persistent Petitioners, or anything else like that, Slime Against Humanity, you probably want to put 20, 30 of them in your deck. This guy, no. If he's your commander, you might play 0 in the 99. Because you can get him when you need him, and when when he dies, you can recast him, and you don't want to get doubles of him, actually. If he is in the 99, then I think he kind of becomes worse. You could play multiple, but if you draw an extra... Wait! He's got cycling. That's the solution. If you draw multiple, you cycle them, and then it counts the artificers in your graveyard. We're back, baby! I just talked myself back into it. Never mind. You do want to have them in the 99 a bunch of times because you can just cycle them, and then that adds to the boost. So, with all that said...
You can have all the Sids, but really, you might only need one.
Oh, yeah. So...
You only need one on the field to make it work.
Here's the deal. I think Sid is exciting.
Yeah.
How exciting? I'm not entirely sure. Clearly, I don't have them all figured out. I just, went wildly back in on opinion of him. Is he, way good? Is he not good? Is he great as a commander? Bad as a commander? Better than 99? Tough to say. But I think he's exciting.
Never a dull moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cloud of Darkness is looking a lot more covered up than when I saw her in the Dissidia Final Fantasy game. Can we do a Google image search for that real quick? I want you to see this.
Okay, but Cloud is looking different these days. Okay, well this is a little dangerous here. Cloud of Darkness.
Dissidia.
Oh, okay. Dissidia. Yeah, this is very dangerous. Okay. Okay. Like that, maybe?
No, one
Like
above.
that?
No, to the
This?
left, that.
This.
This.
Okay.
Oh, and
Um,
that's her Dissidia NT model.
okay. Okay, well, that's interesting.
We do not know what those tentacles are connected to.
Well, looks like her back somehow. That's like red. I don't know. It's connected to whatever serves as clothes in her world. Um,
Damn, girl.
I know, girl. I know. Avatar that's like some kind of unknowable being. Um, anyway, what does she do?
Well, for 2, a black and 2 green, you get a 3/3 avatar with flying and an ability called Particle Beam. When Cloud of Darkness enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard.
Okay, so a 3/3 flyer for 5 fails the vanilla test.
Yep.
Honestly, I'm really surprised by this in that she's a major boss, right?
Yeah, she's the final boss of Final Fantasy III. At least,
So,
or she's the main villain or something. I never got all the way through Final Fantasy III, so I don't know for certain.
honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they made her 5 mana. Like, on the one hand, I was thinking 3/3, I guess that could make sense if you're keeping in mind she's from Final Fantasy 3, but then you could maybe push her and make her 3 mana, but she's an uncommon, so she probably shouldn't be that strong. You know, a 3 mana 3/3 with flying and kill a big thing. Because this kill ability on here could be very large. In fact, I was trying to think of the mechanic name the other day. I think it's called Descend. So black green.
Sorry.
Descend. Yeah, you have Descend 4, Descend 8, all this stuff. And Descend is basically permanent cards going to your graveyard from anywhere, I think. So Descend is a great mechanic to build this based on, but fails the vanilla test the hardest that we've seen so far. And her ability happens one time. She's double green and a black for that. I'm especially surprised that they made her double green for this. You know, like take that green, make it a colorless, and it's a little bit more reasonable. As is, it's hard for me to say that she might be lame. She's gonna come in and kill a creature, and you're gonna make sure that she does. And a flying 3/3 isn't garbage, but for 5 mana, it kind of is.
Are we missing something here?
I mean, let me check it one more time. When she enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -X until end of turn. X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. That could be like 12 or something, and you'll kill a large creature one time. So that puts her on par with like what would be a comparable example? Maybe Ravenous Chupa? Ravenous Chupacabra is a 4 mana 2/2 when it enters, destroy target creature and opponent controls. So this costs 1 less mana, is 1 less power and toughness, doesn't have flying, so maybe it's on par, except this will destroy a creature, period. You don't have to do any setup, it 100% of the time works. This, you have to put cards in your graveyard, permanent cards in your graveyard, and then it will kill a creature, but if it's big, you got to get a lot of cards in your graveyard. And that cost is not only more, it's harder because it's 3 colored mana symbols. I think you don't want this in the command zone. Is it questionable? No. No, I think she's lame.
Sorry, sweetie.
Yeah, because you just don't want this in the command zone. This is not questionable. What is the upside is that you kill a creature. In Green-Black, you have a million different ways of doing that. You don't need for your commander to do that, and then that's basically it. If she's your favorite character in Final Fantasy history, you could do it. It wouldn't be the worst, but like
Do what you like, but it would be a biased decision rather than a gameplay decision.
Yeah. So, Emmett Selk, Unsundered. I hear is one of the most popular characters from Final Fantasy XIV, maybe the most popular character, in part because of the voice acting and the writing.
I do like the way he looks. I would have to hear a monologue a bit, though.
Yeah, we're not familiar. But
All
what
right.
does he do?
So for 1, a blue and a black, you get a 2/4 Elder Wizard with Vigilance. And whenever Emmett Selk enters or attacks, draw a card and then discard a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 14 or more cards in your graveyard, transform him.
14. I wonder if that's a relevant number.
Gee, I couldn't possibly tell.
Well, what does he turn into? Hades, Sorcerer of Eld.
A 6/6 avatar with Vigilance and a power called Echo of the Lost. During your turn, you may play cards from your graveyard.
What?
If a card or token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead.
Okay, so this is really interesting. Let's go back around to the front. First off, vanilla test.
Let's see, we are passing that today.
Yep, it's another one where they lose a little in the front to get a little in the back.
What is it with Final Fantasy and big backs?
You know, I don't think that that's actually a trend among many Final Fantasy characters. They usually are quite trim and svelte.
That's a good word.
Yes, but this one has Vigilance, which I think helps a lot with the high toughness thing. As well, it has attack trigger, which helps a lot with the high toughness thing. So you can get this guy out. You can be attacking with him more reliably than you might otherwise if you were a 3/3 or a 4/2 or something. In order to trigger the draw and discard thing quite a bit, which usually in Magic is called looting. Now, at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 14 or more cards in your graveyard... Note, it doesn't say permanent cards!
Woo!
It's any kind of card, and of course he helps you get that, unlike the other lady we were just looking at.
Cloud of Darkness.
Yeah, he helps you when he enters and when he attacks to not just fill up cards into your graveyard, but also allow you to craft a better hand as you go. This guy is a million times better than Cloud of Darkness. I mean, not just that, you know, also being in different colors, blue-black does different things. So, 14 or more cards in your graveyard, that's something that you have a lot of control over. So, you can fairly well control when you transform him. You could hold off for a turn or two if it's not the right time yet. Or you could try to get to it as fast as possible. And importantly, if he dies, he goes back to the command zone, you recast him for 5, and then you have the one turn where he enters, does this thing, and he sits there, and then during your next upkeep, you probably still have 14 or more cards, and he transforms again.
In other words, he saves your progress.
And one more thing, some transform cards exile and return transformed. He does not. If he lost Summoning Sickness around that time, he will still not have Summoning Sickness, and you'll likely get to attack with Hades the turn that it flips into it. And now you can play cards from your graveyard. After you just put at least 14 cards in your graveyard, you now have, like, you know how normally you have up to 7 spells in your hand that you can cast on any given turn?
Guess what? Now you've got an expansion.
Yeah, like triple it. If you've still got 7 cards in hand, which you don't, then you now have 14 more in your graveyard, and that's your real hand, is the 21-ish cards that Hades gives you access to. And, of course, any of the ones in your hand, you can now kind of play... No, you can't play them twice, because if a card or token will be put in your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So...
That could work against
Vigilance.
you. Be careful with that one.
Exactly. So be careful about when you transform Hades, because you don't want to have stuff in your hand that you're like, oh shoot, this is only good if I get to do it twice, or it's only worth doing if I get to do it twice. But anything that you do before flipping into Hades, you will get to do twice. And honestly, this seems like a really great progression of a game of Commander, where you kind of start the game doing some tit for tat, playing footsies in the neutral, as different games might say.
You chop up your ingredients, you put them in the pot, you let them cook, and then you show people what you're cooking.
You unleash hell.
You know what I've just noticed?
What's that?
There seems to be a tendency, not just in Final Fantasy, but among boss fights in general, that when they go into their, like, Inhuman era, there's a tendency to get rid of the legs.
Oh.
And to just leave the top half, the head, the arms.
Well, if you're a boss, the arms are the menacing part. They're like, ugh, coming towards you.
I'd like to see a boss fight that only has the bottom half.
That's like all feet.
That's all feet, all legs, all butt.
You hear that, Miyazaki? Next Dark Souls franchise game, all feet.
Feet can be pretty menacing too. You got big stompy, you've got sweeping kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Even throwing a tail for flavor.
Well, Miyazaki of Dark Souls fame is also famous for being a little too into feet. He was actually told near the end of development for Elden Ring that he needed to put shoes on a few more of the female characters. And he did. So.
Okay, yeah, that might be a case of, dude, reel it in a bit, we're at work.
Yeah, reel in a little bit, although...
Oh, you could also add, like, spurs, like, coming out the back of the foot, so you gotta watch out for those.
Oh, cool mask.
Ooh.
Okay, so all that said, I think this guy is great. Is he... Will I put him in good or exciting? You know what? I think he's going in exciting.
All right, the exciting ones are coming out to play today.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's good. Exciting. I think he's going to be somewhere around, like, maybe even here?
Ooh.
Yeah. Sephiroth, honestly, his gameplay is a little bit linear. That's just all about creatures dying. Emmett Selk, you are doing a lot of stuff. And it's all building towards this crescendo, you know? And I think that's one of the coolest things in Commander, if you ask me, is... Once again, you have that build-up phase where we're all kind of like feeling each other out, throwing a little damage here, throwing a little damage there, maybe removing, trying to get out of Soul Ring, see if you can get to an early lead. Somebody remove my Soul Ring.
Me with my dessert deck, I'm like, don't mind me, I'm just loading up my bases here.
Yep, let her cook.
And then when she does cook...
yeah, it's going to explode all over your face. So Emmett Selk, I think, is really cool and really good.
Here we go, the Emperor of Palamecia, the main villain of Final Fantasy II.
Wow, two.
I know that this guy has a name, but I do not know what it is.
Well, now they could have made this as a card with a name. They consulted with Square Enix, and they went for the Emperor instead of his name, at least on the front.
I like to make fun of this guy for being probably the most forgotten big villain of Final Fantasy, okay?
Well, and yet we're looking at a commander that only costs a blue and a red, so he seems real small, but what does he do?
And for that blue and a red, you get a 2/2 Human Noble Wizard. You can tap him for red or blue, and you can spend this mana only to cast a non-creature spell.
That's fine.
Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, put a 1/1 counter on the Emperor. Okay. And then if he has 3 or more counters, transform him.
Ooh, okay.
And he's not getting exiled. The Lord Master of Hell!
Jeez, go hard, I guess.
Alright, he has a base stat of 3/3, but he's going to... But when he transforms, he's going to have 3 1/1 counters on him, so he's actually a 6/6.
Yeah!
And his main ability is Starfall. Whenever the Lord Master of Hell attacks, it deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of non-creature, non-land cards in your graveyard, which he just helped you fill!
Nice, nice. Okay, I gotta say, this guy seems great.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, a commander that comes out as early as turn 2 and then ramps you... You can spend this on non-creature spells. That means you can spend it on Is It Signet. You can spend it on, Felwar Stone. You can spend it on other ramp and other card draw.
This kind of makes sense for his character, because he's supposed to be a master strategist and a pro at setting up traps. This comes out in particular in Dissidia, where he kind of tries to be the main villain, but ends up getting played for a schmuck by the real main villain.
Okay.
He's I feel like he's kind of resentful that, why am I in one of the games that nobody knows about?
Oh. Well, also...
Why does nobody know who the heck I am, huh?
So, in most sets these days, we have what's called a Signpost Uncommon, which is an uncommon, usually a creature, but sometimes other spell, that is supposed to kind of clue you into what those two colors are doing, and is kind of the easy inroad to playing that color combination in sealed and draft, your limited formats like you would find at the pre-release. The Emperor of Palamecia is absolutely that for red-blue. He's uncommon. He's just on the tin. He looks like solid just to start with, but he specifically encourages you to cast non-creature spells of 4 or more mana, and that is the red-blue theme in this set.
And he'll help you do it.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I think that this guy's actually great, is that spending 4 or more mana to cast non-creature spells is normally a bit of a chore, especially in draft. That might be one of the worst drafted or sealed archetypes that there is here, because 4 mana is kind of a lot. But he helps you actually make the mana, unlike most of the rest that just have a payoff if you already got the mana.
Like, just either pay it or don't. And he's like, no, I actually want my plan to get done. I'm gonna help you with that.
Yeah! So it's way easier to do that theme with him as your commander, and it comes out on turn 2.
I do like this guy.
And being a wizard, there are a lot of synergies with other wizards. Some of them in this set, some of them in others. So that harmonic lady that I was showing earlier, harmonic prodigy.
Yes.
Not the best in this with this commander, but it's one that exists, because you would just get 2 counters for every non-creature spell, and so you'd have to cast 2 spells instead of 3, which, like, who cares? You could do that in a million other ways. Okay, let me do a quick deep cut, though. Ordeal of Thassa? I bet most of you don't know of this card. It's a non-creature spell, of course. Only costs 2, so you can cast the Emperor and then cast this the turn after that. And whenever enchanted creature attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you sacrifice it and draw 2 cards.
Nice.
So normally in Magic, you would pay 3 mana to draw 2 cards, even in the color that's best at it, blue. Also, blue is not normally a color that gets like +1/+1 counters on their creatures for practically free, which just attacking with the creature and getting a counter is pretty great. And it's both of those on the same card. And then once you have 3 or more counters, the same thing that triggers him flipping, you sacrifice it, draw your 2 cards, and if you sacrificed it, it's 1 more non-creature, non-land card in your graveyard for this to deal damage whenever it attacks. So if you get it before or after transforming the Emperor into the Lord Master of Hell, it's just solid, good, and 8 cents.
So, yeah, I'm really liking Emperor Palamecia here. No points for that color scheme, though.
Let's see. An Ordeal of Perforos. This is similar. It's the same effect at first, and then when you sacrifice it, you Lightning Bolt. I think that both of those effects are fine. The blue one's stronger, but this is also good. I would personally love to play these 2 cards, because I think one of the main reasons why I play Commander is to find homes for cards that are like kinda good but no one ever plays, and those are 2 cards that would be a little bit like pet cards to me. I'd get them in foil, even though the non-foil is 8 cents, put him in there, put him on him, and then he's going to get bigger, faster, and count for more damage, and people are going to be like, wow, I've never heard of that card before. Yeah, and it's good here.
And again, that goes with the seeming inferiority complex that he seems to have in the first Dissidia game.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm talking through my hat on this one, but it's pretty strong to me.
You know what you could do as a fun challenge?
Oh,
this
no
could
way.
be your budget deck or your no rares deck or something.
Ooh.
Because actually, I bet that you could make a really sick Emperor of Palamecia deck with no rares in it. Of course, there are always going to be a handful of rares that are just stronger than whatever counterspell you might have otherwise. But you could build this deck at like 80-90% power without spending more than $1 on any particular card, I bet. So
Tell us if you do it.
All those make this really fun, and last thing I think is that this other trigger happens every time that it attacks. And yes, as with the last guy, he'll transform while staying on the battlefield, so he keeps the counters and he doesn't gain summoning sickness. So you
And
can
he
attack
does-
with them, and it deals damage to each opponent. Each opponent.
And the
This is
cards
great.
that he's triggering off of don't get exiled.
Oh yeah. So they just go up and up and up. You know?
Oh yeah, this guy is a monster. I love it.
Yeah, and wasn't there that thing about like, oh yeah, the harmonic prodigy? When I was talking about doubling wizard triggers, this is the wizard trigger you want to double.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, that said, the Emperor of Palamecia is going and exciting, but where? I think he seems actually to be one of the more fun, like, Spellslinger commanders ever. The only thing that holds him back from being higher, I think, is that he does care about 4 mana or greater spells. So you gotta play a lot of those, and those are kind of clunky. But
Congratulations, Emperor Palamecia. You're finally getting some recognition around here.
But I mentioned the other day some cards like Rewind, where, you know, you do have to pay the 4 mana. If you have something that gives you a discount, it doesn't work. But maybe you untap the lands, so I don't know. Alright. Going on to X-Death, the last one that fits on the first page of Scryfall results. X-Death Void Warlock?
Ah,
Wild.
yes. X-Death is the, I think, stupidest name for a villain. It's so edgy and bad.
Oh, and his flavor text is not stereotypical at all. It's mwahahaha.
Witness what befalls those who stand against me.
Damn. Could you not put that as the flavor text for, like, any villain in anything ever?
Pretty much.
Like Bowser, Magneto. It'd be sufficient.
I like that
It'd just
helmet,
be, you know, boring. Yeah, the visual design of his armor and stuff is excellent.
Oh, and get this. Spoiler alert. He's a tree. He is an evil tree.
Well, what does he do?
Well, for 1, a black and a green, very appropriate, you get a 3/3 Spirit Warlock, and when he enters, you gain 3 life.
Yay, life gain.
At the beginning of your end step, if there are 6 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, he transforms.
Okay, so this is another uncommon legendary creature that's in black and green that cares about permanent cards being in your graveyard. Perhaps this is the signpost uncommon.
This actually, again, makes perfect sense with his story. Like I said, he's an evil tree. Basically, there's a race. Oh my god, there's a tree in his background.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Basically, there's a race of these wise and generally peaceful trees, but there's a bit of a problem. They had a bit of, you live that long, you see as much crap as you do, you get a little bit crotchety about it, so they decided to take all that negative energy and put it into one tree, and then this happened.
Okay, they got jaded.
They got jaded, and they decided to put it into one being, instead of dealing with it their own damn selves.
Okay.
Anything but therapy, I swear.
So now I think what's going to be the make or break here on whether or not this is hopefully significantly better than the Cloud of Darkness is what it transforms into.
Neo X-Death.
Whoa,
Oof.
okay. That is some pretty, like, incredible...
That art is gorgeous, that name is terrible.
Neo X-Death. The new used to be Death, Dimensions, and this is Final Fantasy boss design run absolutely amok.
I don't know, this looks like pretty standard Final Fantasy second tier final boss.
I mean, well, it's from 5, so it's from the pixel art era where they're, like, throwing everything at the wall. I'm gonna put, like, all the bosses together at the same time.
Oh man, you remember what Kefka's final form looks like?
Not exactly, but I think it's in here somewhere, so...
Let's see. You get a star 3 with Trample.
Uh-huh.
His power is equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard.
I'm going to be real with you here. I think that both of these black-green uncommon commanders kind of suck. This enters and gains you 3 life. Whoop-de-doo. And then it doesn't do anything until you have 6 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. And when he flips, he still has 3 toughness, so he dies to...
Nope, he has 6.
What?
I mean,
No,
3 toughness.
Yeah.
3 toughness, but he gets 6 power, so there's that.
I mean, yeah,
Like, at
he'll
least.
be a 6/3 with trample. For 3 mana, if you jump through some hoops, like, okay, let me
That's not
think of an
bad,
example
but it's not
here.
really anything to write home about either.
Yeah, like, okay, Spirit Monger at one point was the gold standard for creatures in terms of how strong they could be. Like a 5 mana 6/6 was ridiculous. You know, this is not a great comparison. I'm trying to think of a good comparison, though, for, like, a strong green and black creature. But it's kind of not coming to me right now. Regardless, a creature with 3 toughness dies to too many things. A beast token, an elephant, your medium-sized commander, that your wizard that you triggered one time to get a counter on it, you know. It dies to too many things. It dies to lightning bolt. It dies to the small board wipes that like do 3 damage to each of your each creature, or that give all creatures -3/-3, stuff like that. Toxic Deluge for 3 gets it really easily. It doesn't have any built-in defense like ward or hexproof or anything like that. It gained you 3 life. Who cares? It doesn't kill anything. It doesn't do card advantage. I think it's lame.
Fantastic art, though.
Oh, yeah. Gorgeous. Jessica Fong, great job. Honestly, magic artists kind of never miss these days, if you ask me. Except that one that was famously plagiarized. But is it better or worse than Cloud of Darkness? You know, that's a good question. If you spend...
I think it's better by a little bit.
I think it's better because I think you spend less mana on this garbage than you spend on that garbage.
Yeah.
I know that's mean. That was intentionally mean.
Yeah, X-Death is not really one of my... Actually, his evil plan is actually pretty cool because he's not trying to take over the world. He's trying to destroy everything. Mm-hmm. He's omnicidal. He is very nihilistic, and that's actually pretty interesting. And he's an evil tree, so that also makes him interesting. But
oh, you know what?
The name X-Death, just guh!
You know what? One last thing that I have to say about both of those that are actually a nice thing to say, I bet they're pretty good in sealed and draft. I bet if you open them in your packs, they'll be solid for you, you know, when you're playing 40-card decks, 1v1. And your pre-release, you open one of those, you're not doing too bad. They're fine. But let's look next at Garland,
Everybody,
King of Cornelia.
Let's take a moment to salute the OG.
Yes. The villain from Final Fantasy 1, he's, I think, the only legendary creature from Final Fantasy 1 in this set, because nobody else had names.
Well, there were some. Princess Sarah comes to mind, but yeah, for the most part, this is our biggest character of a character in Final Fantasy 1.
No,
wrong Sarah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's just spelled regularly. In fact, she does have a card here.
Oh. Okay, she's a reprint of Azusa Lost but Seeking, and therefore is kind of a legendary creature from Final Fantasy 1, but it's stretching it because she's literally just Azusa. Okay. Well, regardless, what does Garland do?
Well, for black and red, you get a 3/2 human knight, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, surveil 1. For 3 mana, 2 black, and 2 red, you return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield transformed. Activate only as a sorcery.
I, Garland, will knock you all down.
Ha, meme.
Then he becomes
Chaos the Endless. A 5/5 with flying, and when Chaos dies, you put it on the bottom of its owner's library.
Oh god, okay, I'm just remembering a lot of the memes about, like, you never told me I was Chaos. All I want to do is kill Chaos. It was that, like, Final Fantasy spin-off game they had a year or two ago.
Well,
so many great memes, and he's like, fine, I'm just gonna leave then. And in a Final Fantasy adjacent game, he like puts on a MP3 player and starts playing Linkin Park.
Okay, that's funny.
I know! There's a video game donkey video about it, and I think it's called, like, Strangers in Paradise or something.
Oh yeah,
Is that what it's called?
Stranger of Paradise. That's yeah,
Mhm.
it was kind of a remake of Final Fantasy 1, but not really.
I guess.
I actually
yeah.
kind of feel sorry for Garland slash Chaos because this poor bastard is stuck in a stable time loop. He's an
Okay.
he's an evil knight. He's a knight. He turns evil. You beat him up. You go through your adventure. You find out that Garland has returned, except now he's actually Chaos, the horrible, embodiment of all that is evil and bad in this world. You kill him, but you don't actually kill him. You knock him backwards in time, where he becomes Garland, the evil knight, and it never stops.
Somehow, Garland returned.
Oh god.
Palpatine thing. Okay, so as a magic card, are we passing the vanilla test?
Let's see. Yeah, we are.
With flying colors. He's a 3/2 for 2 with upside, and he's in 2 colors, which, I'm glad that I don't have to say this about every commander anymore, but monocolor holds you back. He's got 2 colors, which is great. He's a knight, which is a fairly useful creature type. Although most of your best knights are in white, black and red are, second and third knight colors. And casting a non-creature spell in order to surveil is a pretty great repeatable effect to just tack on to all of your little spells. You just play a lot of spells, fill up your graveyard with stuff. Granted, you got to get to, 7 mana in order to transform him. But the key thing here is return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield transformed. So this is unique.
You have to make. In other words, he has to die for him to rise again.
Yep.
In order to be risen.
Uh-huh. And when he does, then he comes back as Chaos the Endless. A 5/5 flying, and when it dies, you put it on bottom of its owner's library, which I guess that's the curse of going back to the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
Because, look, if this is your
Flavor
commander,
win.
you do not want to have this go back to the bottom of your library. That sucks hard.
Yes.
That's terrible.
But if he's a commander, then he just goes. Then you can say, "Nope, you're not going there. You're going back to the command zone."
Exactly.
Although you do have to let him hit the graveyard the first time.
Yeah. So some people do sometimes risk letting their commanders go to the graveyard and staying there in other decks that have, like, reanimator plans and stuff like that. This guy wants to get in the graveyard as soon as possible, except, actually, that surveil ability is quite good. So this is one of the few commanders, I think, even if you just want to, like, get it to transform as fast as possible, doing a bunch of surveilling for free on top of your spells is probably quite useful. And then being a 5/5 flyer is pretty great. I was going to say for only 2 mana, but you did have to pay 7 mana in order to bring it out.
So,
And,
strictly speaking, 8.
9?
Yeah, that's 9, and that's if you're dodging taxes.
Yeah, also, you can only activate this as a sorcery, which means that you have to animate him on one turn, pass the turn, and then the next turn you get to start attacking with him. So, actually, he's almost more useful on the front, but he does have that escalation thing that I was talking about before, where you have a commander that can do interesting stuff in the first half of the game, and then when the game goes long, he can do something a little bit more bombastic. Come back as a 5/5 flyer. And his commander damage will stick around and will apply whether he's Garland or Chaos. So you could do something like that, some kind of commander damage blitz.
In the first Final Fantasy, he's the first and last boss you fight.
Oh, okay.
Well, also, can we zoom in on its art a little bit? I have some questions about that dragon coming out of his front.
Oh my. Okay. Let's see. I think we can also do maybe download back image. Oh, well. Okay, whatever. We'll just do it this way.
Like, what is going on there? Is that coming out of his stomach?
Okay, yeah, it's coming out of his stomach, like
Maybe that's why he's so
between
angry.
the diaphragm and, yeah. Although he's got 4 arms, and so he's got like 2 sets of pecs. And those horns are always cool. Oh, does he have 2 tails?
I think he does.
Wonder what else he has 2 of. Anyway, I'll zoom out.
I have questions and I'm scared.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should be. So, all that said, how good is Garland? Well, I mean, this mana cost is a ton. He doesn't have a built-in way to get himself in the graveyard. He doesn't have removal built into him, or Surveil is pretty great. Coming out for as a 3/2 for 2 is pretty great. Um, so, um, and also, he could go in the 99 of certain night decks like Sir Gwyn or something, but he really cares about non-creature spells on the front face, so I'm thinking he probably goes in good. Maybe like. Wait a second. Did I accidentally put Balthier and Fran in good when I meant to put them in exciting?
I think you did.
Did I actually?
Actually, I
did I
thought
say
you put
they
them.
were good or exciting?
I think you might have said they were good, actually.
Okay, you know what? I think I did. I think that's probably fine because once again, we don't know how good vehicles are really. But anyway, I think that's where Garland goes. And next we're on to Garnet, Princess of Alexandria from Final
That
Fantasy
is
IX.
Queen Braun's daughter.
Oh, I don't see the resemblance.
Neither do I.
Some kind of like everlasting gobstopper incident must have happened with her mom.
Youch.
You remember?
That wasn't the everlasting gobstopper, though.
What?
That was...
Yeah,
No, it
wasn't
was
it?
the gum.
Oh, it's the gum that's like a whole meal.
Yeah.
And then they get to the blueberry dessert, and it's whoops.
Always
turns
goes
a
wrong when we
big
get to the
puffy
dessert.
blue. Oh well. Anyway, what does Garnet, Princess of Alexandria, do?
Well, for a green and a white, you get a 2/2 human noble cleric with lifelink. And whenever Garnet attacks, you may remove a lore counter from each of any number of sagas you control.
Ah.
Put a 1/1 counter on Garnet for each lore counter removed this way. Okay, so you get to keep your summons for longer, and they can also do more attacking, which is their biggest weak, which seems to be one of their biggest weak points.
Absolutely.
How many do we have in green and white, though?
Oh, that is an excellent question. Let's do a new advanced search. We're looking at could be played in a green and white commander deck, and we're looking at sagas. Okay, and I don't care about the order so much right now. There are 70? There are 70. Now, okay, on traditional sagas, oftentimes they'll go weak ability, strongest ability, and then they're out. Some of the ones from Kamigawa will do like okay ability, turn around into some like kind of neato thing on the back. Okay, so those kinds, you kind of want them to progress to the end in order to do their thing. However, of course, the new Final Fantasy ones, if you can get Bahamut to stick around, putting counters on each of your creatures and being a 5/5 flyer, you probably want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah!
And you're also going to want to keep that 5/5 flyer.
Mm-hmm. And same goes with a lot of the summons in this set. I mean, I'm not sure. There. Okay, you can play Bahamut. You can play Chocomog.
You can play a fat chocobo.
Yes, you can play the fattest Chocobo you could imagine. A pleasingly plump summon.
And he's a 4/4.
Yeah. So, so not every saga is going to be the kind that you'll want to keep removing the counters from and keep around, but just about every saga in this set is.
So yeah, this is an ace in her space.
Yeah, and she's a 2-mana 2/2 with lifelink. You're passing the vanilla test, and you have a keyword ability that isn't always the most exciting, but it's a good one to build off of. Because it does scale with your creature's size. And she grows! Every time she attacks, you can remove counters from your sagas and make her bigger for each lore counter you remove from your sagas. So she's not going to be a 2/2 for long.
Soon she's
No.
going to be as big as her mother.
Oh no.
That was a bad joke.
Well, I mean, hopefully she'll fill out a little better. Like,
Hopefully she'll have a better
she
attitude,
won't
okay?
swell and turn blue, and yes, especially won't become like some supervillain. So, let's see. She has to attack in order to get her trigger, which means that I would think that the one other kind of mechanical focus that you should have other than playing lots and lots of sagas are things that make it safe for her to attack. So sagas are all enchantments, right? So if there's an enchantment that makes it safe for her to attack, that would be ideal. I believe I've mentioned this card before, and I still don't spell it right. Reconnaissance. Let's go with the latest printing of it where it's a little more readable. Um, so it's one white for an enchantment, and you can pay 0 to, at instant speed, remove an attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. And you can activate this during the end of combat after the creature has already dealt combat damage, and you still get to untap it. So it's better than giving all of your creatures vigilance at the same time, while also meaning that you can attack with Garnet, peel off some counters, and then if she's in a dangerous spot attacking a demon player, a dragon player or something,
You can just yank her right out.
yank her right out, and she's fine. So that seems to be a good option. There are a handful of cards like that. Also, of course, someone targeting her is gonna like really mess up your strategy. But you can do things like privileged. How good at spelling this am I? Privileged position. Other permanents you control have hexproof.
Yeah, that makes sense. Seems like
Yeah.
a flavor win too.
Absolutely. I mean, she's a noble, right?
Well, she is a runaway princess, but she's still a princess.
Yeah, so this is one of the better uncommon commanders out there, and I think that she has a lot of potential in Commander specifically. Flavorful, encourages you to play the green-white summons that she would do if she was let loose in this Final Fantasy set herself. It's what she would do.
All the summons.
And keep them around as long as you want. So I think she's great. In fact, I think she's exciting.
Woohoo!
She is one of the best reasons to play sagas, specifically the saga creatures in this set. Where to put her? Honestly, I think probably all the way up here.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I think that your opponents are going to enjoy seeing you do the saga things and keeping them around. They're cool. Whereas some of these other ones are kind of punishing or a little more fiddly. This is going to be powerful and fun. So.
How long have we been recording? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, out of curiosity, we've been recording for an hour and a half?
Yep.
Oh my. Okay, how many more do we have to go? 1, 2,
Oh.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. No. 29, because Cloud, we already did Cloud. So that's 29 left. I'd be okay with taking a break.
Same.
If you need... Okay.
Same.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back for Gyat. Gyat. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fine.
There's a joke in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah. And also, I think there's like a Gen Z meme that I don't know that sounds kind of like that.
Yeah, something about spelling it G-Y-A-T-T, and I think it means butt.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. We're too old for that. Sorry.
We're not too old for anything.
We're
Except maybe...
too old to talk to people who use the word gyat casually.
Fair enough. You got us there.
Uh-huh. Anyway.
Unless they're, like, related to us.
Oh, yeah.
But even then,
But
that would
I
be
don't see my
weird.
cousins that often. Anyway, I think we'll pause here, and then we'll see about the upload schedule, but we'll come back after we've had a brief break where we can get a snack and something to drink. And then we'll do, so many more uncommon commanders. So many more multicolor commanders. See ya.
All right.